Our speaker is Alex Nasli, AI and data lead, LLM engineer at BrokerChooser. Title of the speech, How AI Fuels BrokerChooser's Growth. Please welcome him on stage with a huge round of applause. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me well? All right. It's the first time I speak like this. Okay, so let's start the presentation. I'm going to talk about how we use AI at BrokerChooser, how it brings impact for us, how it fueled our growth. So let's jump into that. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Put your hands up if you have built an AI project before. Okay, many of you. So put your hands up, or keep your hands up, if these projects have brought any money to you, to your company. Okay. Some of it, okay. So it's a good presentation then for you, because I will show you how it brought money for us. So let's jump into that. So to my main message to all of you, if you build an AI project, just fall in love with the impact and not just the technology itself. I mean, what does impact mean for BrokerChooser? BrokerChooser, it means revenue, it means traffic as well, and it means also conversion rate of our users. So, in my opinion, the ideal use case, there are three things which you need, ideally. You will see it will not be true for all our AI projects. But first, it has to be, or it should be scalable. It should support for part of your workflow. And third, it should be just simple. So what does it mean? Scalable, it means that you build something which increases the number of outputs you can produce with the help of AI. For example, for BrokerChooser, it could mean the number of articles we write. Secondly, it supports the part of, or replaces part of your workflow. I can tell you it will not replace fully, but it can support your workflow, and maybe it can enable you things which you cannot do without AI. For example, for us, it meant collecting data with AI, because we built our product on data, and we need a lot of data, so partly we use AI for that. And thirdly, maybe not all of you agree with me with this point, but the use case should be simple. Sometimes it could sound boring, but I think it's simple, it's even better. So to sum up, always have an eye on the impact and not on the technology itself. So before jump into the AI projects, let me give a context about BrokerChooser. So our main mission at BrokerChooser is just to help people invest. Have you heard about Skyscanner, right? Right, okay. So you can think about us like the Skyscanner of the brokers. So we match people with their brokers, same as Skyscanner match people with the flights. So who has a broker account here? Especially online broker account. Okay. So what is an online broker? Online brokers are these companies or firms where you go to their website, or you can download their application, and then you register, you open an account, you put some money on it, then you can trade with that money. So that's an online broker. So, but investing is hard. There are many complex choices you have to take consideration when you invest. First, you have to pick a broker. Like there are 3,000 brokers globally, which is a lot, and that's where BrokerChooser can help you. So how we help you? We write articles, reviews. As you see, there is this Athro review. It's one of our brokers. We have best list where you can compare with different brokers. We have comparison table. We have tools which can recommend you brokers. And that's how we help. And yeah, and additionally, we also write investing articles to you. So BrokerChooser is bootstrapped, which is really cool. It means we don't have any investors. It was founded 9 years ago, and still we are going without any investors. So it, for us, 9 years ago, it already started to bring revenue for us, which means this product is needed for people, because as I mentioned, investment is complex and there are many complex choices you need to take consideration. And BrokerChooser is still profitable, which is really cool. Because it means we can reinvest our money into the team or into the new projects we are launching. Currently, BrokerChooser there are 60 people working for us. We are 60, so which is a huge team. We also doubled last year, so our profit was last year 1 million euro, which is really awesome. And currently, we have around 900,000 visitors per month, which is awesome. So, what it means, we also are an innovative company. We build new projects, we have AI projects, but well, for us being innovative means, so why we can be innovative? First, because as I mentioned, we are bootstrapped, which gives freedom for us. So there are no investors who tells us what to do. We can do what we think is the best. Secondly, as I mentioned, we are profitable, so we can reinvest our money into new AI projects or any innovative projects. So me personally, I joined the company 5 years ago. I joined 5 years ago. I joined as a data engineer because we have traffic from Google, so we have many user analytics. So I built a data infrastructure, but then everything changed when ChatGPT was released. So let's jump into that. So we have 3 AI projects which I want to talk you about, and a lot of ideas we want to do in the future. So first project I want to talk about is translation. So what's the story of translation? What's the story of translation? So what happened? ChatGPT was released, and the board said, let's do something with AI. And we heard that from investment.com, one of our competitor. One of their success was they translated their website into multiple languages, and that brought traffic to them. So localization is important because also we have people from all around the world, mostly from US and United Kingdom, but from all around the world, people are interested in our product. So me, when I heard translation, I was a bit skeptical because we have already tried localization before. We translated our website into Italian with the help of translators, but the impact was not good enough. We didn't have any visitors, so that's why I was a bit skeptical with this. But then we built an A team. We built a really good team, the best engineers of BrokerChooser's, just to do this translation. So just to give a context, what we did. So what we did, just to remember, horizontal and vertical scaling. So what it means, we already, as I mentioned, we already collect data of the brokers. So what we do is scale our articles based on the data points of each broker. So with one template article, we can generate articles for all the brokers. So we have 100 brokers currently. So with horizontal scaling, we already could achieve 100 articles based on the data points. So imagine if you add vertical scaling, which are the languages. So we added to this engine the vertical scaling, which means translating into different languages. So currently we are translating our product into 70 languages. So with one template article, with the horizontal scaling and the vertical scaling, you can produce 7,000 articles with one content, which is a lot. I remember in January we produced around 1 million pages, and I was just stunned, like, that's a lot. So how we do this? We basically, this engine we have collects all the English texts from a content and then put it in a list, and then we send it to GPT, or actually we will release cloud soon because we will change it to cloud, and then we get the translated articles or texts back, and then we generate new pages based on that. So we use, as I mentioned, we use these foundation models like GPT, but to use GPT you have to calibrate it, which means because, for example, you want your translator model use the right jargon or the right style. So for that we do evaluation, which means you need a metric, and you need to evaluate your translation models and pick the best model. What we did is we evaluate these translation models with another large language model, which is called LLM as a judge. We experienced that it's more the evaluating a translation model with large language model is more closer to the human evaluation. That's why we picked LLM as a judge. So then the A team released the first article in 3 weeks. So imagine the board said it on 0th week, let's do something with AI. Then in 3 weeks we already released our first articles. Of course the quality wasn't good the first time, but user comes first, so we want our users to trust us. So we put a box to the articles that, guys, this is an AI generated translation, so if you want the original one you can go back to the English here. So let's go to the impact, what it means. Currently the impact is doubled us. So half of our traffic comes from these translated pages. I remember when released the first articles, when we were watching the dashboards and we saw, oh my god, there is some traffic on it, which was a really good feeling. And now currently, because Google needs some time to know your contents, currently half of our traffic comes from these pages. So, as if you remember, scalable, because you could produce a lot of contents with this. Supports part of your workflow because we don't need to hire translators, or we don't have any translators right now. And it's simple because it's just a simple model we built on it. So also we will have a workshop where we will show how we evaluated these models. So please, if you haven't registered, then just come. So let's go to this second use case we built, is of course an assistant. I think most of the use cases are around an assistant. How we started with this? We had a hackathon. Where we had our first assistant. The quality wasn't that good because it's just a hackathon. It was a 1-week hackathon, so we didn't produce the best model. But then we decided, let's do an AI project on it. Of course, focusing on the impact. So we built our better assistant. Have you heard about retrieval augmented generation? Okay, some of you have. Oh, okay, so it's a technique. Basically, just to make it simple, you limit your models to a knowledge base. So for example, you use ChatGPT, but it will answer based on your articles or your contents. So it will not answer from a different source, which is good for us because then GPT will know our context and content, and it will give answers based on that. So we built, of course, also we built the model based on evaluation, as I mentioned, and translation. We used also LLM as a judge here. Then we had three products. We built three products on the assistant. First, we upgraded our search bar because we had the normal search bar, but then we built an AI-based or a assistant-based search bar, which helps the users navigate more. Secondly, we also just have this. We built this general chat interface. You can start on the bottom there is a logo you can start with, and then a chat window pops up. And third, we integrated our forum. So we have a forum where users ask questions. So sometimes Nuri, we called it Nuri. We call the assistant Nuri. Nuri can answer to your questions on the forum. So what was challenging with this? What was challenging for me with when we built the assistant model? We saw in the user logs some people try to hack Nuri, for example, to get the system prompt of Nuri. So when we calibrated our model, we also have to take into consideration that some people could hack it. So we have to guard it, Nuri, that way as well. So the impact, what we could see, Nuri, the people or the users who use Nuri, they have much higher conversion rate, which means because we send our users to the brokers, so much more users go to the brokers than without using Nuri. But there is one issue with Nuri. Not many people use it. So we have to focus on also that, how we can make the users to use Nuri more. So what we did, or we did many things, but one of the most surprising thing we did was, for me, we have this bottom logo with Nuri, and we just added AI on it, and much more people started to use it. So sometimes the simple is better. So unfortunately, still the impact is not there what we want, because of not many people use it. So also the revenue is not enough for us. So unfortunately, currently we put Nuri on hold because we don't have the capacity to improve it more. So if you remember the framework I mentioned, scalable, well, not really, because not many people use it. It supports your workflow because we don't have to answer those questions by ourselves. Well, simple, I might debate with that, because RAG is not that simple, even though we try to do it as simple as we could. And yes, so that's Nuri. So let's go to the third project, which I believe this is maybe the most innovative project and the most difficult one, which is data collection. So as I mentioned, we are a data-driven company, so we collect data from the brokers. Their data is on their websites, so we manually collect them, we put them in our database, and then we produce the articles. So therefore, we board and with the management, we decided, let's try using AI for data collection, because we believe there is a scaling factor in that. So just to give a context, we have 100 brokers, as I mentioned, and there are 3,000 brokers all around the world. So still a lot of brokers to cover for us. And to collect the data for one broker, I think it takes many weeks for an analyst. So this is the most innovative project, but I think there are the most trial and errors we faced here. We tried many solutions with here. Maybe some of you have heard there is Perplexity, there is GPT search. So we tried this search-based, generative AI-based searches. We also tried to use some tools which integrate scrolling and AI together, and we saw that it's like we will not find one solution which will work for all. We probably will need different solution for different data points. So the challenge here is the variety of the brokers, because there are 3,000 brokers and their websites. And the other challenge, the data itself, and maybe a third challenge, not all this data is accessible by AI, which means you need to log in, you need to do a login, a registration, which you might do in the future. For example, if you have heard operators, the GPT's operators, maybe in the future we can integrate that as well. So currently, this is the future impact. As I mentioned, it's still a research project. We have some initial results. So we have some data points which are collected by AI, but we are not using for all brokers. But we believe this will bring a lot of money for us. So to referring to the framework, scalable, yes, because we can scale from 100 to 3,000. Workflow, of course, because it supports our workflow, because we collect the data, so the analysts don't need to collect the data. And it's not simple at all. So these were the AI projects we built so far. So just to mention some learnings to you, sometimes it's more UX than an AI project. As I mentioned, we built Nuri. Just you need sometimes the most simple things, just like adding an AI to the logo. Secondly, building an AI project could be bumpy, even if it's a very new and innovative project. There are many redos in an AI project, like in data collection, we had many trial and errors. We still didn't hack the problem yet fully, but we are working on it. And third, in my opinion, talent is key. So you need the best team and best engineers for that. With the data collection, we tried with research groups for universities, but they failed, and then we needed around half a year to hire good AI engineers, and they produced much more than a research group of universities. I'm not saying research group is bad, but maybe you should use it differently. So yes, talent is key. So we at BrokerChooser, we are searching and looking for talents. If a talent comes to us, then we will develop the talent. For example, I'm also giving a speech here, so it's kind of new to me, so it's a developing for us. We send the people to different countries to give lectures. We send them to the US for conferences. So yeah, so we are still looking for talents. So if you feel like this could be you, just try applying for us. But so I hope the presentation was insightful for you, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you face similar challenges like us, then we can just talk about them after it. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You see this beautiful QR code here. Grab your phones, and this is how you can ask your questions, and we can continue the discussion a little bit longer based on what you are interested in. So we're just going to wait a little for the first question to come in. Oh, pretty fast. All right, so our first question. How do you test that the responses of the translation and chatbot are accurate?
So yes, so as I mentioned, we first we do evaluation, which means we calibrate the model, which we need data set. So we built our own translation data set which contains English texts and the translated texts. Then we use we built a prompt, and the prompt will you will see the results of it, and then AI will judge if the two things are similar to each other. So we do this technique for also translation and the chatbots itself. For the chatbot, we have answers, or we have questions which users could ask from the chatbot. We categorize them, so we see where which category itself is not working well. But we use large language model to evaluate these answers, and the metric we use is an accuracy. So for example, this large language model gives a score for each test samples.
All right, questions are coming in. What kind of techniques and strategies did you apply for your RAG? What worked, what did not?
Yeah, so for when we built our RAG, we had this discussion like, should we build our own RAG, or should we just search for someone's RAG, which is a ready RAG? So then we decided, because we see it in the hackathon, like building everything from the start, like indexing, chunking. It's a lot of work, so it's better to search for someone's solution. So therefore we search some already done solutions, and there is a company called Nuclea. Nuclea basically gives an end-to-end RAG system which you can use. You go to their website, you register, you give your articles to this Nuclea, then you can use their system for your RAG, and with one API call. So my advice here is better to use someone's RAG, because we are a small team, so therefore it's easier for us. Yeah.
All right, next question. Have you tried agentic AI to help you with data collection?
Well, not yet. I mean, what we tried here is I wouldn't call it agentic. What we tried here, we built a longer pipeline for data collection. So, if you have heard Perplexity, I mentioned that before. Perplexity is a generative AI-based search. We use their APIs. They give a summary of your queries. So then you can add a prompt to that, and the prompt will convert it in the right data structure you need. So what we did here, what we see that there is some inconsistency between one end-to-end run. So what we did, we just with a GPT model, we create multiple Perplexity collectors, which are very different a little bit from each other, because their prompt is different a little bit. So what we do here is they all collect the data, and if there is some inconsistency between the data points, then we flag those data points that this data point is insecure, so please, someone from the analysts, check it. So we didn't build an agentic AI we built a longer AI-based pipeline.
Next question. How do you deal with private data with AI?
Well, how do we deal with private data with AI? Well, first, for example, the translation. Uh, for example, with the translation project, we use our data on the website. So this is a public data where we don't really focused on the privacy of a data because it's public. So we basically have um, an API call which just gives this data to the translation model and then gives our back to our model. So yeah.
How did you guard your chatbot?
Yeah. So how did we guard our chatbot? Well, a lot of prompting, many prompting. Well, basically just this generative. So the generative part of the chatbot is we focus a lot on the prompts. For example, we added don't answer something racist, something which is related to sexual things, or don't. Also, we added that not to give the prompt back to users. So we have a lot of instructions what we see in the chatbot. And as I mentioned, we use evaluation, so we add also test examples to which we test our chatbot, and we see what's the answers are, what are the answers are from this chatbot or from the model.
All right, next question. What is your code language? Do you use Python for the ChatGPT API implementation?
Yes. We use Python for the implementations, but also, I mean, it's true for the data collection project itself, but for example, with the translation project, what we did first, we did build our evaluation in Python, but because we have a PHP system, a backend is in PHP, and the end it's just a simple API call we have at the end. So we basically just add this API to the PHP. So we don't use Python in translation. We used Python for the evaluation itself. Yeah.
All right. What kind of scrapers, crawlers, API retrieval solutions do you use to collect articles? What is your solution for versioning of raw data?
What kind of scrapers, crawlers we used? Like, so for the data collection, we had multiple solutions we tried. One, as I mentioned, is Perplexity API based with the API app. Second, we use Crawl for AI. This is a repository which integrates crawling and large language model together. And of course, our first try was just with using normal scraping methods like Beautiful Soap or other modules we used, and then added to a RAG model, but those trials were failed. So currently we use Perplexity, and secondly we used Crawl for AI repositories. If you are interested more in the technicalities, you can come to me, but also we have the AI engineers here who can tell more about them.
Maybe model retraining could work better for your use case? Next question.
Model retraining. I don't know what the person meant by that, because we decided to use these foundation models, which like GPT and Cloud, for example, or Perplexity. So maybe we could do fine tuning, but we cannot train them or retrain them. But fine tuning itself is something could work, but currently we focused on the prompting itself, and we see the results are already very good with prompting itself.
potentially the final question. How consistent are the results of the LLM as judge evaluation approach?
How consistent are the results? Yeah, I mean, not always consistent. Well, therefore you need to run it multiple times and then average or aggregate this results.
Okay, if we have no further questions,
Thank
a
you.
huge round of applause, please, for our
Thank you.